Hello, welcome back to Dark Witness. How are you? You can tell by if you're watching on video, it is Christmas jumper time. It's getting near, so I thought, put the Christmas jumper on. Hope you're all well. Hope you enjoyed the first three shows. Thanks to all the people who have actually started following us on Spotify. It's done okay, so thanks for joining up. And if you get a chance, share with your friends. That would be great. So we're going to delve straight in. So, Dark Witness story one tonight is the voice behind the door. So, tonight's account comes from a woman who spent one winter living in a farmhouse on the Welsh border, just like me. I live in the Welsh border, not in a farmhouse. A place she later discovered that had been empty for years, long before she moved in. It's a story about isolation, about the kind of silence that listens back, and about a voice that didn't belong to anyone living. She believed at first that she was simply hearing things, creaking beams, shifting frost, the normal complaints of an old house. But what she was really hearing was someone trying to speak through the walls. What follows is her detailed statement. Everything you're about to hear, she swears, is true. I moved into the farmhouse in early January. It stood alone on a long, narrow lane, the last property for nearly a mile. The estate agent was up front. The place was tired, cold, and needed company. The last phrase didn't make sense until later. The first night was uneventful, just wind clawing at the roof tiles. But on the second night, I woke suddenly, convinced someone had whispered my name. It wasn't loud, it wasn't even clear, but it was behind the bedroom door. When I turned on the lamp, there was no one there, just a heavy old house stillness, like the air had stopped moving. Over the next week, the noises continued, soft taps on the walls, and then slow, deliberate knocks. I kept telling myself it was the pipes or the wood contracting. Except the knocks always came in threes. Always. 3. And always after 2 a.m. On the 8th night, I finally spoke through the door. Who's there? I don't know why I did it. Maybe the silence was worse. A few seconds passed, then so softly I could have imagined it. Let me in. I froze. The voice was low, wet, like someone was speaking through a mouthful of cold earth. I remember sitting upright in bed with my heart in my throat, just listening. Listening so hard my ears ached. Again, it whispered, "Let me in." I wanted to run, but the hallway beyond the door was pitch black. Every instinct told me not to open it. I slept with the lamp on until sunrise. The next morning, I checked the house top to bottom. No break-ins, no footprints, nothing. Nothing wrong with the locks. Something had changed. The house felt heavier, as though it had gained an unseen occupant. Heavier. 2 nights later, I heard the voice again, but this time it wasn't at the door. It was inside the room with me, right by my ear. I called. I screamed and rolled out of bed. The air in that side of the room was so cold, it stung my skin. My breath came out in thick clouds, and then I saw it. Not a figure, not a person, but an outline pressed into the wallpaper, as if someone was leaning from the other side. A head, 2 shoulders, arms braced against the inside of the wall. The wallpaper stretched outwards, straining around the shape. Someone was trying to crawl through. The wallpaper. I bolted from the house wearing just my dressing gown. I ran down the lane. I didn't stop until I reached the neighbour's lights. They called the police, who checked the house and found nothing but torn wallpaper and a freezing patch by the bed. The officer said it looked like damp. Damp? I moved out the next morning. A few weeks later, I asked the estate agent about the previous tenants. He looked uncomfortable, then admitted the farmhouse had been empty for 9 years. The last tenant was an older man who'd suffered from extreme isolation and had taken his life inside the house. I asked where. The agent hesitated, then said, "In the main bedroom, behind the door." I still hear it sometimes, a breath just behind me, a whisper that doesn't belong to anyone, and it always says the same thing. So some stories linger because they sound like nightmares, others linger because they aren't quite nightmares, just fractured version of things that we secretly believe could happen. Lonely house, quiet winter, a voice with nowhere left to go. If you ever hear someone whisper your name behind a closed door, don't open it. Yes, mad one that. I think, yeah, if I was living in a house alone, I would probably shit myself. I often wonder why someone on their own would want to go and buy a farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. I think if I did, I could live out in the middle of nowhere, but I think I'd have to be quite security conscious. Probably make sure windows and deadbolts and the doors and everything was locked up. Maybe a nightlight like a baby. Get one of those little star projector things. But if I heard a whisper calling my name, yeah, I'd shit myself. I think so. I don't think I would fucking talk back to it anyway. You know, hello. Anyway. Anyway, that was Dark Witness story one. So we're going to move on to story two. And it's a similar kind of story, actually. So this story is called The Man at the Bottom of the Stairs. So one was behind the door, the other one's at the bottom of the stairs. So yeah, maybe I don't think it's the same house. We'll see. So our next account comes from a man who swears he spent 3 nights being watched inside his own home. 3 nights. If I was watched once, I wouldn't get to the second and third night, certainly. Not by a ghost or a demon, but by a very real stranger who somehow entered, hid, and waited. So this is a story about the type of terror that doesn't need the supernatural, the terror of real people doing things that we cannot explain. This is his full statement. It started with the stairs. I lived alone, a small terrace house, creaky floorboards, narrow staircase with 12 steps. That's unusual. There's normally 13 steps in a house. I know that because I've grown up doing wood flooring, and it's usually always 13 steps, which is spookier than 12, I suppose. But yeah, something wrong with this house for only 12 steps. I know every sound it makes, but on a Wednesday night, just after midnight, I heard something I'd never heard before. Someone exhaling at the bottom of the stairs, not moving, not speaking, just breathing. What's exhaling? Like that, I suppose, isn't it? At first, I thought it was coming from outside, maybe through the letterbox. But when I got out of bed and stepped onto the landing, the breathing stopped instantly, as if it heard me. I stood there for a long time, staring down the staircase into the darkness. Nothing moved. I convinced myself I'd imagined it and went back to bed. Never be fucking light on in the house. There's no way. Just listen. Did I hear someone? Fuck that. No, every light on in the house. And a torch for the dark corners. The next morning, I found something strange. The little chain on the inside of my front door was unhooked. I always hook it at night, always. But there it was, dangling loose. I told myself I must have forgotten. Night two was worse. At around 1 a.m., I woke again. Same feeling, same prickling at the back of my neck. This time I heard a single step creak from downstairs. Just one. Then another. Then another. I called out, voice shaking. Who's there? Silence. I didn't go downstairs. I locked my bedroom door and waited until dawn. Again, fuck that. The next morning I checked the house. Nothing missing, nothing broken. But on the wall by the staircase, about knee high, there were 3 long scuff marks, like someone had braced themselves there. Night 3 was when I saw him. I woke at 3:14 a.m. Don't know why. Maybe the house made a noise. Maybe my body already knew what was waiting. I stepped onto the landing, looked down the stairs. He was standing at the bottom, one hand on the banister. A man, maybe in his 40s, thin, pale, wearing a dark coat that hung off him like it was soaked. His head was tilted back just enough that I couldn't see his eyes, just the lower half of his face, slack and expressionless. He didn't move, he didn't speak, he didn't breathe loudly like before. He just watched. I froze. Every instinct told me not to move, not to let him know I'd seen him, but it was too late. His head twitched slightly, like a dog noticing something. He took one step up towards me. I bolted back into my bedroom, pushed the chest of drawers. I bolted back into my bedroom, pushed the chest of drawers against the door, and called the police. I could hear him slowly coming up the stairs, one step at a time, heavy and measured. But halfway up, the sound stopped. When the police arrived, he was gone. He searched the entire house and eventually found signs that he had been living in the crawl space above the kitchen. A blanket, some food wrappers, and a small pile of my belongings that he'd collected. Old photos, receipts, a set of keys I thought I'd misplaced. Like a fucking magpie. A living, creepy man magpie thing. The officer told me he may have been here for a while. I moved out that same morning. The worst part isn't knowing he was in my house. It's knowing that on that third night, he wasn't trying to hide anymore. He wanted me to see him. So yeah, some horrors don't come from the dead, they come from the quiet corners of our homes. We're people who slip in unnoticed and live between the walls of our ordinary lives. Lock your doors. Check your attic. And if you ever hear someone breathing at the bottom of the stairs, don't go and look. That was a second wee story. Quite creepy, that really. To think that someone actually living in your house. There's no room in my house. We have 5 children. Good fucking luck to them finding somewhere to live here. But it's a bit weird. It's a little bit weird. Someone wanting to live in your house and take your belongings. It's like the kind of spurned ex thing, that, isn't it? Go and live in your ex's house and steal things that, I don't know. I'm sounding like I would do that. I wouldn't do that. Definitely not. Certainly wouldn't be breathing at the bottom of someone's stairs. I'd probably just go and get on with something. What his motive would be to be doing that, I don't know. Whether he just wants shelter and just wants to live somewhere, that's fine. But, if you want to live there long term, probably best not to creep out the guy that owns the house. Maybe make friends with him. But yeah, so it's a couple of wee dark witness stories. I didn't do much last week or so. There's been quite a lot of illness in my house, like in most houses just now. And I thought, I wonder if people are liking these. I wonder if they're any good. And I went on Spotify and I saw that our subscribers have gone up. So people are listening. So I'll keep doing them. You like them, I'll keep doing them. And be sure to let me know if you think they're shite. If you could give us a review on Spotify, a nice 5-star review, all helps. The more interactive you guys are with this, the more people will see it. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to share it and tell friends about it. Just click like, click subscribe. Give us a wee review. Leave a comment. Just say hi Fraser. Enjoy the show. Anything like that all helps. So that's been Dark Witness, episode 4. And there will be another one next week. And I might try and get 2 done. Try and catch up with things a little bit. So anyway, enjoy your week. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.